platforms and weapon systems, but more so by software, secure communications, AI, cyber resilience, and trusted digital infrastructure. As digital technologies become central to operational readiness, national resilience, important questions arise around integration, security, sovereignty, and collaboration between governments, industry, and innovation ecosystems. Today's panel brings together leaders from defense, security, technology, cybersecurity, and we are here to discuss the challenges, the operations, the opportunities, the capabilities that will define this and shape the future of operational environment. It's a pleasure for me to moderate this panel today, and I would like to welcome all the panelists. So we're going to start, and we're going to have a group question. We'll start with Kyriacos, and then the rest of the group. So how is the shift toward digital infrastructure changing operational readiness, national resilience, and sovereign capability development?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great venue to be here. Let me start by saying that we're experiencing this tectonic shift, I would say, towards digital in all aspects of life. We've seen that happen before, and we've seen how this is moving also in the software space in a dramatic way. Myself, having worked in the telecommunications industry for many decades, we saw that happening when networks started becoming software, right? And then we had the software-defined networks, we had software radio, we had, all kinds of things. So we see the same shift happening in the defense space, but in an accelerated way, because we live in exponential times. And there's many trends that are currently playing out at the same time. Obviously, AI is the big name, and we're seeing a 37% compound annual growth rate, in this space. C4ISR is growing by 4%. Cyber and cloud are also growing dramatically, 13% annually. That is bringing new capabilities. But also other areas, we see a move towards trusted microelectronics to make sure that the right supply chains are in place in sensitive areas. Of course, drones, unmanned systems is a big item, and space. Space has become crucial nowadays in the whole defense spectrum. All these things, I'm saying, is a tectonic shift because AI, one of the things that AI is allowing us to do is to bring data together. So this data fusion is creating the data-driven battle space, which was not the case before. And obviously with cyber, being able to immobilize, entire civilian infrastructures, well ahead of any other action, one can very critically understand the importance of such areas. So this is a tremendous shift, and I think, anybody who needs to be resilient in this space needs to step up to these changes.
Thank you, Kyriacos. Ioannis, what's your view?
Following up the Kyriacos mentions for technology, I would like to note that, especially in Greece, have been done the last few years great steps towards digitalization of the public sector, including also very big private organizations. And I would like to mention, because we have been involved in many projects in critical infrastructures, especially in Greece and some other countries as well, towards the digitization, resilience, and real-time data gathering. One of the very big projects which is ongoing is CISEFXIS2, which is the backbone of the public sector that connects every public organization in a secure way, very resilient networks, and provides services on top of that. G-Cloud, which is responsible to host and run all the software and applications for the public sector and for the citizens as well. We have been involved in projects like border monitoring, digital hospitals, some digitization of the power corporations, and also upgrading National Meteorological Service, including new technology, radars, sensors, and using also satellite data. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because in asynchronous warfare, the environment around critical infrastructure is very critical. So it's not only the defense sector that can be affected by some threats, but it is also all these public organizations and their organization behind this. So one thing that I would like to mention is because since we become very digital, the cyber threats, and we'll discuss with the other colleagues here, becomes much more important.
Thank you. So Dejan, your perspective, maybe you can say a few things also coming from Serbia.
Yes, I'm coming from Serbia. My company, DevTech, is providing military solutions and services as well, solutions for security critical systems that support defense systems. So just before providing answer on your question, I would like make a difference between information technologies and operation technologies. Operation technologies are mostly isolated environment, today a little bit vendor-locked systems who are operate on hardware and software to manage physical processes, industrial processes. That's very important for defense systems. Unlike IT systems are oriented on protection and managing data in ecosystems. Today, military and defense systems are deeply interconnected to the operational technologies. I would like to say critical infrastructure. It's a big challenge. Defense systems are focused on, how to say, 3 or 4 important critical infrastructures area. Mm-hmm. It's energy, communication, logistics, and supply chain, but other also very, very important. According to that, I would like to point 3, not challenges, but points that we should be focused how digital infrastructure will be impacted in the future warfare. One is that our critical infrastructure as part of defense ecosystems is first line of defense today, not in the future, today. Every attack starting before as hybrid attack in critical infrastructure. So according to that, it's very important to apply overall systems to protect that infrastructure. Second very important point is convergence between IT and OT environment, because digital infrastructure will provide, how to say, base for that we can move our data in that landscape, because today defense systems are not so isolated. They are hosting data on provider side in the cloud and so on. It's a very important point. Convergence will provide many capabilities, but will increase many challenges that we can manage, like vulnerabilities, like risks, and so on. And the third and the most important part, how will digital infrastructure have impact in the future warfare, is people, humans. Investing in humans, in people, in knowledge, education, and skills is very important, that they can follow and support all that systems. That is key point that we can pay attention in the future.
Thank you.
Okay.
So maybe Dimitris from Bright Group, you can also share your view.
Yes. So the reality that we live in now, and this is why I believe there's a major shift in the focus towards defense technologies and the defense ecosystem, is that we realized through the wars that we witnessed around our area, around our region, that Europe is left far behind regarding both defense infrastructure and technology. So like pointing out to what Ioannis mentioned, the good thing about Greece is that we early implemented the digital transformation projects in the public sector. So regarding handling of a massive amount of data, both ourselves and other companies like SCYTALYS that we have been heavily involved into these projects, we needed to find a way both to utilize and to learn AI capabilities early and handle billions of data in order for us to be able to fulfill these projects in the specific time frame that we had. So this is a big step up for companies in Greece, because these capabilities will be translated into this new ecosystem of defense technology. And we are seeing this day by day, because keep in mind that companies that were engaged into these major projects, we were forced, let's say, to utilize LLMs at massive scale with a burn rate of €1 million per month for tokens. So that gave us a big step up in actual know-how of how to handle this technology and how to harvest it, and the people how to think around this. So the other thing, so we have the technology where the companies in Greece have, I would say, an advantage over other European companies, mostly regarding the major digitization projects in Greece. And the other thing that we need to act fast upon is the communications. Like Kyriacos mentioned, the communication is in space. Nowadays, this will be the new reality for comms around the world. For us, this is a massive opportunity. We are handling currently the satellite spectrum for the biggest players around the world. So having your own, let's say, dedicated platform for managing dynamically satellite spectrum, and also having the ability to create an ecosystem of data management around this through ground stations and data centers, I think it will be critical for moving forward.
Great, thank you. So, Angelos?
Yes, of course. Thank you for inviting me. It's very interesting points. We all understand from these points the value of technology and how digital transformation shifts even the defense industry. I'd like to focus on not only on the amount of data that this industry produces, but why it's important to leverage real-time data, because in the defense and in the battlefield now, real decisions are taken from data rather than platforms that used to be in the past. And let me give you an example, and we can extrapolate this in defense. So let me tell you, for example, that you need to cross the road just outside Intercontinental, and I would give you the picture of the position of the cars yesterday at the same time. Would you cross the road with this data? No, you wouldn't cross the road. You need real-time data. And that's why it's important to feed these models, to feed these platforms and these systems with real-time data that will be the decision maker for everything we need to decide real-time in the battlefield and stuff. So it's changing from platforms to data, and as more as it becomes a digitally driven ecosystem, software becomes more and more important, and the readiness that you described in your question, so the software and the technology to be up to date, to be patched, to be secure, and everything is as important as that. And as you said about resiliency, we used to protect resiliency in the past by having double systems and high availability and redundancy and everything, but as the threat becomes cyber threat, we need, and the platforms become digital, we need to protect from that point of view the perimeter of these systems. So that's where zero trust, for example, comes in. We should authenticate everyone all the time, prove their identity, make sure they have the right access to the right data, the right systems and everything. So this is what really resiliency will be of versus the cyber threats that are out there and the new types of wars and threats that are becoming evident.
Thank you for this, putting your perspective on this. So, George, for you, the next question. So how can AI, cybersecurity, and trusted technology partners strengthen the future of defense?
Yes, thank you, Lina. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. So the important thing the game changer in the attack vectors that we're seeing today is that we have a consolidation between defense and critical infrastructure when attacks are happening. The other thing that we see is that it's all about linking systems together and getting information. So now what we are facing today is that huge data lakes, separated silos, but not necessarily, and vast amounts of information. In order for decision makers to take a decision, they need now the use of AI. Now, the cybersecurity and AI, it's not a nice to have anymore, it's a must have. The reasons are what the previous speakers mentioned about hybrid attacks and everything. So the solution to the changing environment is the following. We need to have trusted networks and trusted partners. Since all of them are going to be linked, we need to have a way in order to make them resilient and cyber secure. Number two, once everything is linked and is exchanging information and is going into a data lake, which is not easy to do, it's easier said than done, then we need to be able to take decisions, courses of action, threat evaluation and weapons assignment, and all of these things. And weapons not necessarily for defense. It could be defense weapons and blue teams from the critical infrastructure. In order to do this, we need the use of AI. So my two main points is trusted networks, trusted partners, AI in decision-making support, and I will elaborate a bit later down that road, is human in the loop, obviously.
Exactly,
right?
this is coming up, I think, on the next round. Okay, great. What about you, Dimitris?
I agree with what is being said. Regarding this matter, I think we have to safeguard a whole ecosystem, which includes both communications, the data at rest, and the AI plays a critical part in both being actively monitoring all the communications, the data, the images that we will gather real time from satellites in order to analyze them. And also regarding data at rest, we have to be able to handle massive amounts of data, because this is now the new reality. To do this, now we are seeing a new trend which we have been implementing in real projects. This used to be a rumor from the Secret Service of in United States that they are having a set of data that are safeguarded and another set where they have dummy data, and whoever attacks this pool, they can safeguard the actual critical pool against that attacks. We are seeing now implementations regarding blockchain, implementing double blockchain storages, where you have the critical storage safeguarded from every attack, and then you have AI, let's say, generating a replicate blockchain storage with dummy data, where you analyze the attacks and you have AI actually help you safeguard the critical infrastructure of data that you have. So I think, like it was mentioned, we have to create a bubble, a complete ecosystem of trusted partners that starts from the satellite images and communications, down to the ground stations, to the data lakes, and to the AI and software that is used for the ecosystem.
Thank you. Okay. What about you, Vasilis? Θα μας πείτε και εσείς λίγο τη σκέψη σας πάνω σε αυτό.
Ναι, πολύ ευχαριστώ. Αναφέρεται συχνά και σήμερα και γενικότερα στα διάφορα συνέδρια η χρήση της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης και του cyber security. Προφανώς αυτά έχουν εφαρμογή και το σημαντικότερο όμως που δεν ακουμπάμε πολλές φορές όλοι μας είναι ένας παράγοντας που αναφέρθηκατε και στην ερώτηση και θα ήθελα να δώσω έμφαση, είναι στο Trusted Partner Network. Αυτός είναι ίσως από τους πιο κρίσιμους παράγοντες που μπορούν να επηρεάσουν την ορθή υλοποίηση κάποιων έργων, ιδιαίτερα σε τομείς ευαίσθητους, όπως είναι η δημόσια ασφάλεια και το defense. Πρακτικά, για να φτάσουμε σε ένα σημείο και να έχουν υλοποιηθεί τέτοιου είδους τεχνολογίες Προς τέτοιους σοβαρούς οργανισμούς θα πρέπει να έχουν ακολουθηθεί κάποια βήματα τα οποία πρέπει να είναι πάρα πολύ προσεκτικά και καταλήγουμε στο ότι αυτά τα υλοποιούνται από συνεργάτες. Άρα είναι πάρα πολύ κρίσιμο να στηθεί ένα τέτοιο δίκτυο συνεργατών, το οποίο ξεκινάει από τον βέντορα, ο οποίος είναι ο καινοτόμος, αυτός που δημιουργεί τις τεχνολογίες και θα πρέπει στο τέλος της ημέρας να εφαρμοστούν στον τελικό πελάτη, στην αμυντική βιομηχανία. Στο ενδιάμεσο όμως παρεμβάλλονται κάποιοι κρίκοι, οι οποίοι θα πρέπει να είναι πολύ σωστά προετοιμασμένοι, έτσι ώστε στο τέλος της ημέρας αυτό να λειτουργεί σαν μια αλυσίδα, η οποία αλυσίδα μπορεί να μεταφέρει τεχνογνωσία ο ένας στον άλλον, να μπορεί να το υποστηρίξει αυτό σαν έργο στην υλοποίησή του και φυσικά να το παρακολουθήσει στη συνέχεια του. Είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό επίσης η αλυσίδα αυτή να έχει μια σχέση εμπιστοσύνης μεταξύ τους και έτσι ώστε να μπορούν και στο τέλος να υποστηρίζουν οτιδήποτε είναι αυτό που μπορεί να παραδοθεί στον αμυντικό τομέα. Πιστεύω ότι είναι ο πιο κρίσιμος παράγοντας αυτός, δηλαδή η δημιουργία ενός δικτύου συνεργατών, οι οποίοι όχι μόνο θα υλοποιούν κάποιο έργο, αλλά στη συνέχεια θα μπορούν να το υποστηρίζουν σε βάθος χρόνου. Και αυτού του είδους συνεργασίες χτίζονται σε βάθος πολλών ετών. Αυτή είναι η άποψή μου σχετικά με το κομμάτι του Trusted Network.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ και νομίζω όλοι συμφωνούμε σε αυτό. Λεωνίδα, θα μας πεις και εσύ τη σκέψη σου και we can see it in English and maybe you can say a few things what you do because it's a new, interesting startup, I think, what you do. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be among all the great leaders here, and we are going to discuss a very important topic about the whole world. So I would like to begin with a big distinction regarding what is AI and what is in a different way. So we have AI that generate images, text, coding, and everything, and we have AI that help decision and also support decision-making process. So I believe that we have to understand that there is a big limitation in this approach. So the LLM part is like a way that you can predict the next word. But in the real defense situation, on the real critical infrastructure, it's not possible to, let's say, have a probabilistic only approach. So I believe that we need a different model. In order to have like a real trusted AI defense, we have to harnessing the architecture around the systems. So we need a system of intelligence which will work with this way. So 3 layers. The first layer will be like a deterministic approach, or rules and constraints that has to protect the critical infrastructure and not leave the hallucination to run on. And something just to give you a quick idea is that if a model has 99%, that means in 2 steps in a row, it has close to 60% to make a mistake. So it's impossible to have a leave this critical impact without having any constraint. The second part is that we don't wait for a word to predict. That's not how the word is working. So I believe that we need a structured world model, a model that could predict the next semantic state, what's going to happen based on that, and not going to be the next word. And the third part, which is very important, we need the verification layer. Not from people's mind, not from AI. We need a mathematical verification layer based on the symbolic decisions. So I believe that if we combine these 3 layers, and on top we bring the cybersecurity, we will come up to a conclusion that we'll have a very compact and very robust in the modern warfare approach. So based on what I have already explained, I believe that what is missing is let's say, the correlation between different data, but not in a way just to find the patterns. Also to find insights that is not possible to find, but just to correlate, but also the consolidation of it. So the system of intelligence is the first layer, the second layer is the structuring world model, and the third layer is the verification system. So I believe that if we bring those 3 systems in one, and then we put cybersecurity, we'll have a very compact. And something that is very important that we mentioned about the real data, how we can have real data. Because the decision come in the real world, so it's not happening in outdated databases. So we need a system, we need a modern way that we can consolidate, and we have to focus on the attention of data. So we have a lot of different signals, but it's very important to identify which are those signals that they have an essence to focus on. So I believe that it's more like put the human in the loop as the collapse mechanism around the computics and the mechanics from the systems, have the constraints, identify the world, have the self-reflection, and then it will be much more easier in order to have a proper modern warfare infrastructure.
Thank you, and we'll talk about the human in the loop later on. So moving to the next question for Angelos as a start. So can Europe realistically achieve sovereignty in critical defense technologies, or it will remain dependent on external ecosystems? Pretty much, let's be honest, we're talking about the US here.
Yes, of course, without saying, but truth is that the answer is somewhere in the middle, I believe. Yes and no. And I really want to, no matter how much I appreciate him and the report that he wrote, but Mario Draghi said that Europe itself imposes such a legislation in itself that the tariffs are bigger than what the Trump administration has imposed to Europe. And we should not be, in one way or another. Can Europe rely on its skills? Yes, we saw it in these 2 days of the summit. We're seeing presence from Serbia, from Greece, from everywhere, that Europe has the skills to do so. Should we rely on sovereign clouds? Yes, of course. Ioannis mentioned the G Cloud before, for example. Yes, we should have control of our data and of our infrastructure on-prem, so that we make sure that we are not dependent on others or only others. But can we, let me not give you the example of IBM, but can we do real AI, realistic AI, without utilizing NVIDIA GPUs? No, we cannot. We need to. Shouldn't we leverage the ecosystem out there? Shouldn't we leverage the research that is taking place in other various places around the globe as Europe? Yes, we should. We should utilize, we should take some ideas, we should leverage, we should partner with them and amplify our own resources and our own research. We can then train these models into European data with European values and stuff, and this can be the flavor of Europe within. But I believe that a more extrovert mindset with the values of Europe blended in would be the perfect match for us to, as a continent, to go on.
Great, thank you. So, Kyriacos.
Yes, I think, well, over the past few years, we've seen a major shift in the sense that Europe is trying to step up overall in the defense space, and I think the sovereignty topic goes hand in hand with a step up in its own defense capability. So I think, this is a decision that has already been taken, and it's going a certain way. Now, to your question, whether there's capability or not, there's definitely capability. There's advanced know-how in Europe that can be leveraged. I think one of the big problems that Europe is facing is that it still hasn't decided how to standardize certain types of equipment. We heard our Prime Minister, say a few weeks ago about the next generation fighter jets, right? That they're competing ideas. So if there's going to be so much money going into actually competing ideas as opposed to working together, obviously this is going to be very long and very painful. Having said that, I think the political will is there to make things happen, and it will start converging. Let me use that word. Having said that, I agree with what has already been said. Sovereignty, and in trying to define sovereignty, it's a whole spectrum of things, right? It's not all or nothing. It's a whole spectrum, and this allows for the flexible use of different technologies, depending on the case. Obviously, if you look at market analyst predictions, for example, Gartner, just on the topic of sovereign cloud, is already predicting that in a couple of years, it's going to be a market in the hundreds of billions already. Okay, so there's very bullish predictions about where this is going to go. But again, despite what is happening, we do live in a world that is interconnected, and there's good things coming from different parts of the world. So I think Europe needs to combine in a smart way its own political and geopolitical future, as well as belonging into the big NATO alliance, and try to see how things can interoperate in a way that safeguards national sovereignty. And having said that, also to the comments that were talked about before, sovereignty not just in the defense space, but also in critical infrastructure, right? And obviously, I think that Greece, just like almost every other European country, is also going to take its own decision about how to protect, let's say, sensitive data, also in critical infrastructures going forward. And we think that this is going to be the standard way going forward.
Thank you. So Ioannis, what about you?
Thank you. Following up what Kyriacos said about this, and also the view from IBM, which is not a European company, but they have a very strong presence in Greece the last few years, last 10, 20 years, something like this, I believe. And the implementation of very important systems in the critical infrastructure. I would say this question, in order to be answered, needs to, let's say, follow two different routes. One is the technological and the other is political. And because none of us is a politician, we don't try to say things that don't exist. Europe was very, very late in making decisions for the defense and the independence from other countries. And on top of that, even now, I believe, that's my personal view, that they don't act as one country to protect, the whole European borders and be integrated with different technologies from the industry. This is much different of what is happening in US, Israelis, and some other countries. So I believe in terms of technology, there are decisions that move things up quite a lot. We're not there yet, and to be honest, it is a very difficult problem to solve, to be independent, because technologies in defense are very expensive. They need long-term planning, a lot of resources, and interoperability among different manufacturers in Europe, and also the willingness to collaborate in very big projects, which I believe it's not always the case. However, I have to admit that the last 5 years at least, there have been quite a lot of steps towards that by using the European defense funds, that we have participated in many projects, collaborating with some other European countries and industries in order to actually do R&D in defense and security. We're focusing on cybersecurity, 5G technologies, interoperability between satellite and mobile systems, which is extremely important, and IoT in order to collect data and provide easy decision making. And there have been quite a lot of projects that show an outcome with real products, and some of them are ready here in Greece to be implemented and be operational. However, we have a problem here in Greece because everybody knows that some things are moving very slow, and it's very difficult to implement a system and make it operational in the real field, in the Greek army, or make, let's say, some tests in order to be part of another ecosystem. So I believe that a lot of things have been done, but we need to move faster, and we need to also look at technologies from outside Europe, not as threat, but as a means to interoperate and be able to move fast. And as we move faster, I believe that we are going to be in a better position than we are now.
Okay. So Dimitris?
Yes, I think Europe can achieve not only defense tech, but also critical tech sovereignty, but not across every vertical. So it's clear that we are and will still be dependent regarding the bleeding edge of technology, like advanced microelectronics, like advanced LLMs and VMLs. I do not believe that we will be able to compete with the biggest players in the world. But, like Ioannis mentioned, we can use these technologies and these tools in order for us to create an ecosystem around them that will both safeguard the decisions that are made from AI and make sure that it works for us and not against us. On the other hand, we have a big challenge in Europe because on one end, we need to generate our own data centers, and we are seeing now that there's a big wave towards that direction. But we have a big issue regarding the legislation across Europe that do not allow us to harvest efficient energy sources for these data centers. So there's a big step up from generating data centers. You have to find a way to provide energy for them, provide communications, which is also a thing that cannot be exclusive for us. Communications will go through space. Out there, you will not have your own satellite. You have to utilize everyone else's satellites to achieve communication completeness. And then we have to make sure that we will be allowed to make big steps forward regarding R&D and also other critical infrastructure that we can have on our own.
Thank you. So moving to the next question, so how do we ensure military systems, NATO frameworks, and commercial technologies work together? So let's talk more about interoperability here, starting with Dejan.
Okay, according to protecting military systems or defense systems, I see that system not only purely military solutions, it's critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure is a backbone of each country, of each economy, and very important for society. So according to that, today is easier attack on the critical infrastructure than mobile phone. That's fact.
Thank you.
As part of military systems, we can provide a comprehensive approach to protect all ecosystems, and we can go in two rights, provide non-technical measures, like organizational measures, like regulatory frameworks, privacy policies, NATO standards and protocols that can each entity must follow during interoperability, and of course legal measures to protect all systems. From technical perspective, how we can ensure that systems, I would like answer on your question with a practical approach, how we are providing that solutions. For example, if you imagine operational technologies like the energy sector, SCADA systems, or telco, 5G, for example, in military use. 5G networks are closed networks, usually vendor-locked systems. Military platforms, they don't understand signals from 5G networks. They don't understand format data and so on. First step that we should do is that we can assess that environment, introduce all elements, all assets, what we have in that environment. Second very important part is put layered protection, not only cybersecurity protection, I mean in physical security and so on, but must be implemented in that environment. For example, we developed our honeypot solution for OT systems that we simulate its physical device, box device, and with different components inside, that we simulate environment for attacker if they enter in our critical infrastructure, that they can imagine that is real data. All that systems we are connecting here in Operational Technology Security Operations Center, which may be deployed on how to say, client side or operator side, on partner side, whenever. After that, when we learn how devices communicate each other and how traffic anomalies are detected and so on, We put solutions that you can integrate OT critical infrastructure with military systems like API gateways, like protocol translators or data dioda one-way solutions, and so on. That's just one practical, how to say, practical approach how we can protect our ecosystems, because we are a company who support our partners not in hybrid war, because hybrid war is future, definitely. That's one just practical approach how we can.
That's great, thank you. So, Kyriacos, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, interoperability, you know, we've been discussing about interoperability for decades, I would say. And again, the development of technologies allowing us to do much more compared to before. And again, I mean, AI helps, but still, you know, this is one of the sticky points still regarding systems. Now, the word ensure is a very tough word to apply, but in any case, I think we do have also the cloud capabilities now that allow us to bring together systems, applications, and data that make it much easier to bring everything together compared to before, and try to make sure that they stick to stringent security standards. However, I would say, you know, in addition to technology, I would say there's two more components to this. First of all is, you know, since we're in a rapidly evolving world and we have new entrants in the market offering new solutions and new ideas, I think talking about interoperability also means how to actually enable the new entrants in the ecosystem to be part of that, okay? So that should be, you know, a design principle when thinking about interoperability. And the last but not least, I think it was mentioned before, is the human factor that needs to be in the loop and needs to be properly trained, properly qualified, and properly equipped to be able to play a role, because, you know, as we know, many times this is where things can go wrong very quickly.
Thank you. So, George, your thoughts on that?
So, in my view, interoperability is probably the most important thing that we should have been focusing. We have been focusing on AI, cybersecurity, but we haven't really been focusing on interoperability. I agree, we have started several years ago, but we haven't really achieved it. So our company was created in the 90s for interoperability. So I will tell you, allow me to elaborate a bit more. We're discussing about fusion systems, civil applications with defense and everything, but the problem is much bigger. I don't know if the audience understands, but for instance, the fighters are able to communicate with them using a tactical link, which is called link 16, right? The naval platforms are able to communicate with them, in NATO at least, using a tactical system, which is tactical link, which is link 11, and now it's link 22. But people, what they don't know is that the Navy platform cannot talk to the fighter. That the air fighter cannot exchange information with the special forces, that the air defense systems cannot exchange information directly with a naval platform. They only have to do it. To do it, you have to make it interoperable. What everyone is investing is in platforms, F-35s, Bellara frigates, you know, the latest and greatest. But the recent conflicts have shown that it's pointless unless you interconnect them and you make them interoperable. So it's called the sensor to shooter. So you can have any sensor, but it's useless if this sensor cannot be interoperable and transmit the information in real time, in tactical manner, to the shooter. So this is not being achieved. And to make things even worse, we are now connecting, because we have to do, civilian systems we need to do with tactical systems, which is another bigger problem, because there are two different worlds. So how can a tactical SDR managed radio from a special force communicate with a 5G on a civilian? We have done it because we have been innovating for 35 years, right? But, and I will explain. The concept that we have created and the concept that Europe needs and everyone needs, it's the concept of the combat cloud, meaning anyone should be communicating with anyone, to be interoperable, and to exchange information in a tactical or non-tactical manner when that matters. I will explain. You have a natural disaster. You have no communications, everything is down. So what do you do first? You send the critical first responders. They use radios, Motorola, whatever it is. Then you use the army. They use tactical information. Then you use police forces. They use maybe Tetra. How do you communicate? There is a solution. We have developed it because, as I said, we have been innovating and focusing since 1990 on that. And that's the bigger problem that we need to focus. How do we make everything interoperable in a tactical, not tactical way, but then in a secure way? We're talking about security. There is communication security, AS256, and things like this. But what we see is that once we have achieved it, and linking everything, your weakest link in the system is the one that has the lowest cybersecurity. So how do you secure cybersecurity on that? You cannot do a red teaming on an operational system, because if you bring the system down, an air defense system, your country doesn't have an air defense system. In order to do it, you need to create, and this is what we have been doing, digital twins of the actual systems in order to test, number one, interoperability. Can they really talk to each other? How do you improve it? And number two, once you have achieved it, is the system really secure? Because if it's not, you solve one problem, but you created another big mess because you basically are compromising the whole system. And these are the problems about network-centric warfare assets, such as F-35, or the fourth and fifth generation assets, is that they are network-centric, but once you connect them, this is what the problem is. So we do need to all put our minds together and efforts, the non-defense and the defense, into innovate more, solve the problems, as we have been doing, but we need more help, and address the bigger issue of actually systems talking to each other. That's the...
Thank you for using some practical examples from SCYTALYS as well, so thanks. So Ioannis, maybe just a very brief thought on that.
Very, very quickly, because I think my colleagues here exhausted these answers.
Yeah.
So what I would say, as Kyriacos said, interoperability was something that was discussed since over 20 years in many different systems, and standardization is missing. So what I believe is the solution to that is to be able to build some systems in the military sector from now on with interoperability inside as a must. And because the commercial technologies usually, because they refer to the mass market approach, they can be developed by many more companies and can be cheaper. And as long as we manage to secure them and to have somehow an isolated island of military using commercial technologies together with military systems, I believe that that might be the way forward. And don't forget that most of the new military airplanes and ships, they use as part of their communication on the ground data centers using off-the-shelf equipment with special configurations, of course, that can be very similar to the commercial ones. And in terms of the software design, commercial tools and the tools that have been used all over the world can be used very quickly to give an outcome that sometimes, in order to build it with the very different technologies, might be too long.
Thank you. So moving to the next question, with starting with Dimitris. So what role will AI play in operational decision-making over the next decade, if we can say so? I think it's too long to predict. And to what extent and maybe where should the human be in the loop?
You're right. First of all, I think for people in technology ecosystem for many decades, like myself, this is one of the first times that we cannot predict or foresee the future. We have no idea what's going to happen regarding AI, what is the next twist, what is the next evolution regarding quantum Hardware, we have no idea. What we do know is that we can harvest this tool currently. We have found ways to be able to eliminate hallucinations that are seen in these tools in order to facilitate critical applications. So this is one part that we can be very good at. So we have to harvest AI capabilities for decision making and for automating every aspect regarding object detection, decision making, analysis of data, etc., and of course cybersecurity. Now, in our culture as Europe, we have to keep human in the loop for sure when we have a use of force, because this is in our culture. I'm not sure that everyone else in the planet will go with that. But there is also a big thing that keeps us skeptical in this ecosystem, because we are now facing the new applications of edge AI. So when you have applications that are not able to communicate, then you have to pre-program everything into the chipset using edge AI, where all the decisions are made by the system itself. It cannot communicate with a human. It cannot, ask you for decision. It has to act on its own. We are seeing this mostly in the defense ecosystem when you have submersive unmanned vehicles, and we are seeing this also in drones, where they used to, after they started the wars, we had a first phase of drones that could be blinded, meaning cut the communications and have them, let's say, idle. Then they moved to the second phase with the optical wire, where they could send data to the drone no matter what. Now we're moving to the next phase with edge AI, where the drone will have pre-installed the mission and utilize the sensors in order to achieve this mission. So we have to keep the human in the loop regarding critical decision making. I am afraid that most countries will not go with that.
Thank you. So Angelos, your thoughts?
Yes, I pretty much agree with Dimitri. So I think there are three categories, right? So keeping human in the loop for very critical decisions, very strategic decisions, or the use of lethal power, for example, right? Needs to be 100% human-led. Assisting humans, so human on the loop, can be for a response to a cyber attack, can be for some decisions that need the data that we said before, that we can assist and augment the role of the human at this time of the decisioning. And there are trivial tasks that we do not want the humans at all until it becomes critical, of course, which is, for example, monitoring the cybersecurity, which is logistics, which is system health, which is supply chain and stuff like that, that can be fully automated and left to AI. These are critical not only for the social aspect of AI and the talent that we have in defense, but this is critical because with the right balance of these three pillars, AI will be trusted. And the use of AI, it's a matter of culture primarily, and a matter of decision top-down. So the right balance between these three is something with of course, at the same time, with the dimension of utilizing the right data, which is also trusted, will give the right use of AI in order to be trusted by the ones that will be using it at the end and will make decisions out of it.
Thank you. So Leonidas?
I believe that what the great pioneers they have already discussed is very important. I would like to clarify something. We have three levels of execution in the human in the loop, and it's very important to understand what does it mean really human in the loop. So the first level is an AI that synthesizes, aggregate data, which is great. The second level is AI that could recommend and assist, which is a big area. And in order to work AI properly with the human in the loop, it's very important with the one prerequisite to have. So the person who will take the responsibility, let's say the consideration or the recommendation from the AI, has to understand what's going on. So we need a more explainable way for the operator to understand why it has to take a decision on it. And it's very important to understand that it's not just transfer of liability and transfer of accountability to a person without having the necessary information. And the third layer of it is actually the AI that executes, which I believe it's a big discussion around it. If we think a great book, which is The Fabric of Reality, and explain the different parallel execution that could happen in a similar situation, that means that with AI and all the other technologies, we have an immersive opportunity. We can give the system the opportunity to simulate different scenarios in parallel, and the human operator could collapse which would be the scenario that could be executed. So I believe that definitely it's not intent to execution. I believe that it's intent to collapse. So that's the mindset that I believe that we have to bring in a more critical aspects of it.
Thank you. Maybe George, just one very brief thought on that,
Yeah.
so we can.
I will try to be brief.
Running out of time. Yeah.
Let me just give you 3 examples so you can understand in my view, there are cases that man should not be in the loop and cannot be in the loop. There are cases that it has to be in the loop. One example, interceptor drones. So you have a threat that is coming to you at 400 kilometers per hour, and then you need to target it. Otherwise, it's going to kill people. Your interceptor drone, the one that's going to kill the drone that is coming, needs to intercept it, which means it needs to go and hit it and to target it. It's in an environment that you don't have, it's been jammed, so you cannot have the people in the loop, and actually it's impossible to intercept something moving at 400 kilometers per hour. So AI has to do it. Through computer vision, classification, and detection, it will do the last mile. You will guide it in the area, but it will have to do it on its own. It's impossible for a human being to do it. Second, cybersecurity. You have amazingly sophisticated red teaming that is being done from bots. It's impossible for a human to, or a blue team to be able to defend that. So you need to counter with AI, blue team. On the other extent, air defense. You have 50 ballistic missiles that are coming to you. You're using AI for a threat evaluation and weapon assignment. It tells you the probability to kill, but you have 45 missiles that you can do. 5 have to drop somewhere. Some people have to be killed. So who's going to take the decision?
Thank you for your thoughts. So just one sentence from each one to close this panel. So what do you believe will define operational advantage in the next 5 to 10 years? Just one sentence from each one of you, starting with you, Ioannis.
5 to 10 years is very difficult to answer, but I would very quickly try to see what will happen in the next 3 years. I think AI will be much more into everyday's life and into military systems. And what I believe we should do actually in Greece is to try to figure out how to collect data from different sources in order to have a full visibility, including meteorological data, border control for our seas, islands, etc., in order to have a secure decision-making and actually use the data to simulate different scenarios.
Thank you. Just one sentence, please. From
one sentence. The future period will be defined by convergence of human and technology. Definitely it's human-machine teaming who will accelerate innovation and future projects to make efficiency operations in the future war.
Thank you. Kyriacos.
Yeah, from my side, I would say speed of adaptation and speed of reaction. I think whoever is going to win is the one who's the fastest to be able to respond long-term, but also short-term.
Excellent.
I will confirm Europe needs to take faster decisions. We are too late, number one. And number two, we need to embrace and move faster on interoperability, both technical and political.
I would say that we have to move very fast regarding space communications and data management, and also fast integrations for the tools that we get from third parties.
Thank you.
On a more operational perspective, I think ingestion of data on a real-time basis in a secure way and application of AI responsibly.
Thank you.
Εκτιμώ ότι αυτός που θα κατέχει την τεχνολογία στο μέλλον, αλλά όχι μόνο αυτήν, αλλά και έχοντας δημιουργήσει και ένα ισχυρό οικοσύστημα συνεργατών που θα το υποστηρίζουν αυτό μακροπρόθεσμα, θα έχει ένα σοβαρό συγκριτικό πλεονέκτημα.
Ευχαριστούμε.
And I believe that operational advantage will not come just for speed, because if it's just for speed without trust, it's just a liability. And if it's speed without trust, it's just also obsolete. So I believe that it needs the combination of those, speed with the proper liability, with the human mechanism in the process, and with the real-time ingestion for the critical infrastructure.
So thank you everyone for a great conversation today.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.